Hi guys, my name is Jim Wister, and I would like to spend some time today talking to you about why I believe that America needs to embrace a free, socialized healthcare system. Let's be honest guys, healthcare system in our country is really bad. It is just a total mess. Speak to any adult you know, and they'll tell you that at some point in their lives they've encountered an issue with our healthcare system. Whether that was an extremely high copay, not having the proper coverage that they need in order to receive treatment, or just not being able to afford the medicine that they need, our healthcare system treats you really poorly in this country. I strongly believe that the American government should create a socialized healthcare system to better the lives and ensure the well-being of all of America's citizens. Believe it or not, America is the only developed country in the world that doesn't have socialized healthcare. I believe that the true mark of how strong a country is the standard of living that it sets for all of its citizens, not just the wealthy and privileged. If you're wondering what issues people have with our healthcare system here, allow me to provide you with some background information. Americans on average spend way more on medicine and medical treatments than anyone else in the entire world. The average American actually spends over $12,000 per year on medicine and medical treatments. And amongst industrialized nations, America actually ranks dead last in the quality of healthcare provided. So despite us paying all of this money, we're still not receiving great quality healthcare. Another huge issue that people run into with the healthcare system here in America is that healthcare is tied to employment here. So if you are without a job, you don't have healthcare. And a lot of low-paying, entry-level jobs do not provide great healthcare. I'm a waiter at a restaurant. Majority of waiters don't receive healthcare as part of their job. I luckily work for a company that does provide healthcare. However, they provide a very bare-bones, basic healthcare coverage. I still have high copays when I go to see a doctor. If I were to need an emergency medical service like surgery or something, I would have to find a way to come up with a lot of money on my own because the majority of it will not be covered. So a socialized healthcare system funded by taxpayer dollars would greatly increase the quality of life of all of America's citizens. Americans will no longer have to put off treatment due to the cost. 45% of adults in America either actively have or have had at some point in their lives medical debt. Medical debt is something that only exists in our country. The majority of people who have this medical debt too are people who make $35,000 or less per year. So it is greatly affecting those who are already underprivileged and poor and lower class people. If people didn't have to worry about going into debt in order to receive medical treatment, people will no longer need to choose between their personal and financial well-being. Receiving treatment from a doctor isn't the only thing that our current privatized healthcare system makes unattainable for lower and middle class families. Another big issue is that drug prices here in America are insanely high. One of the biggest and most talked about issues with this is when it comes to insulin. Insulin is a literal life-saving drug for people with diabetes. If people with diabetes can't get insulin into their bodies, they will die. Yet despite its importance, the price of insulin here in America is almost 10 times higher than anywhere else in the world. We live in a country in which people are forced to attempt to ration their life-saving medicine due to its costs. If we were to socialize our healthcare system, people would no longer die from being unable to afford the medicine that they literally need to live. Another issue with the privatization of essential services here in America is that it leads to suffering for the less fortunate. The burden is always placed on the poor. Other countries look at healthcare as a human right, as they rightfully should. However, here in America, we consider it to be a privilege. Many people who receive healthcare through their jobs also have to find ways to purchase and pay for separate policies that cover vision and dental, which is absolutely insane when you consider that your teeth and your eyes are a part of your body. It should be covered under one policy. Yet here in America, we privatize everything, and it's all about making money, so people suffer. An interesting statistic that I found is that 63% of Americans actually favor universal health care and believe that the government holds some responsibility to provide these services for us. However, there are unfortunately a number of people who oppose this. The main point of opposition that I hear from people is that it would cost just too much money to implement here in America. This statement has been proven wrong multiple times. It'll actually save the government and the American people about $450 billion over the course of the next decade if we were to socialize medicine. Another thing that goes against this point of argument is that our government already spends a lot of money on things that we don't need to be spending it on. We could easily divert funds from other big spending issues and use it to fund healthcare in our country. Our defense budget for the last year was over $800 billion. If we were just to take a small fraction of that, we could use that money to provide healthcare for everyone here in America, no problem. Our defense budget, being as bloated as it is already more than the next 10 countries combined spend on their military budgets. So we do not need to be spending that much money to fight wars. We're already in the lead. We can use some of that money to ensure that our American citizens have a good quality of life here. In the end, the majority of the arguments against socialized medicine all boil down to people who are already wealthy and privileged, just wanting the poor to continue to suffer because they don't know what it's like. They've never had to face these issues. They've always had healthcare that provides everything that they need. They don't understand what it's like to be a normal, average American citizen. And it is rough. If we were to socialize our healthcare system, it would help so many people. In conclusion, the United States needs to implement a socialized healthcare system. The sheer amount of people who are living with treatable medical issues, living with medical debt, and trying to ration their life-saving medicine is unbelievably high. If America is truly the greatest and wealthiest and strongest country that everyone likes to claim that it is, we can show this by ensuring that all American citizens have a decent quality of life and have access to medical treatment that they need whenever they need it, regardless of how wealthy or poor they are. We are supposed to be a nation that is united. However, there is a great and obvious divide between those who have wealth and privilege and those who do not when it comes to the quality of healthcare that is provided to the people in this country. Socializing our healthcare system here in America is needed more now than ever. People are dying. People are living in pain. People are suffering because they cannot afford medical treatments and medicine. All we need to do is socialize our healthcare system, take a little bit of our government funding, and invest it in the people of our country, and all these issues will be resolved.